Welcome to Coruzant Technologies, home of the Digital Executive Podcast. Welcome to the Digital Executive. Today's guest is Mike Snow. Mike Snow is the co-founder and Executive Director of ESG at Seek, a 3D operations expert and international entrepreneur driving millions in sales across multiple industries. He has a passion for building win-win partnerships and ensuring that organizations are successful while also being a force for good in the world. Well, good afternoon, Mike. Welcome to the show.
Thanks. Good to see you, Brian.
Absolutely. This is great. And again, Mike, we talked just prior to hitting the record button here that, I did get to spend some time behind the mic with your co-founder, John Cheney. So this is exciting. I think what you all are doing are great. And I love to highlight and focus on emerging technologies, which you guys are in that space. So, Mike, we're going to jump right into these questions and talk a little bit about you, and we get your story out there. So you've got quite the career in technology. You're a serial entrepreneur and now the co-founder of Seek. Could you share with our audience the secret to your career growth and what inspires you?
Sure. Yeah. Great question. Really, since the beginning of our days here at Seek, we were inspired by not bleeding edge technology, but more cutting edge technologies, specifically augmented reality. Me and my co-founder, John Cheney, started in 2016 in the wake of Pokemon Go. And as you know, that was quite the craze, right? I believe they had more users than Twitter in about 5 days. And John called me up and said, how can we leverage this technology, right? And we quickly did some brainstorming on how we could make augmented reality applicable to the everyday business, right? Rather than just kids running around catching digital cartoon characters in augmented reality, we said, how could Cinemark Theaters and Samsung and a local restaurant leverage this technology? And we've always tried to create technologies that are applicable, easy, and available today, right? Not something that you have to wait years and years for some goggles to come out, right? It's all available on your smartphone today.
That's awesome. And, it's funny how we stumble into these things. Like you were talking about your story around Pokemon Go and how do you maximize that, right? So that's awesome how people get into it. And of course, it takes a lot of hard work. I know, been there, done that, and a lot of inspiration. But I love the story and I appreciate what you've shared and continued success to you. So jumping in this next question, we're hopefully going to be living with COVID for a long time, but maybe it's something that we just kind of get used to as we do with the common cold, right? But what was your single biggest business decision you had to make during the first year of the pandemic? And how different is your business strategy today?
Sure. That's a good question. Obviously, the pandemic changed business for everyone, and we were not unscathed from that, especially as a new and emerging technology, right? Augmented reality, specifically web-based augmented reality for viewing a product in your home, which is one of our core technologies and services. We lost contracts, and it was a very difficult year for us at first. And then we realized that people quickly realized that they were stuck at home and online shopping was still available. And so I believe they've estimated that e-commerce as a whole and the technologies around it, such as ours, were expedited, pushed forward years and years ahead from what would have taken maybe 5 to 10 years to become popular is now right there. For example, scanning a QR code, right? A lot of people had never scanned a QR code before the pandemic. And then all of a sudden, they had to just to see the menu at a restaurant or to rent a scooter in downtown. And so we made a lot of hard decisions, one of which was letting new customers try out our technology. We said, let's do kind of the loss leader approach for 2020. Let's get as many people using this technology as possible. And then in 2021, we're able to really monetize that. So our revenue, I believe it quadrupled or more from 2022 to 2021.
Thank you for sharing that. And, this has always been a great question for those businesses that had to make, and not just businesses, but leaders like yourself had to make some major decisions to get through the challenges, these pivots, as we call them, right? So I appreciate the share on that. And I'm glad you were able to come out of this. Some businesses did not. So Mike, you're obviously leveraging some new and emerging technologies within your tech stack. is there something you might be able to share with us today?
Yeah, we have a lot of tricks up our sleeve that we're pulling out here in 2022, which is exciting. And a lot of it's public. You can go to our site, seekxr.com, to kind of see some examples of what is coming down the road. But I'll give you a little sample. So our core technology is creating 3D, hosting it, and deploying it in many different ways, one of which is augmented reality. But another way that you can use a 3D model is actually involved in the NFT space, right? So you can actually create a 3D model and sell it as an NFT. We're taking it one step further and actually creating a very simple plugin and tool for brands, musicians, celebrities, schools to create their own personalized NFT platform and community. And we're going to leverage the 6 years and 9+ patents and patent pending technologies that we have to help these organizations to own their community, engage with them, and leverage world-class augmented reality technology, which we're currently sharing with many, many Fortune 500 brands. But it's going to be very, very easy to use, and that's launching this fall.
Thank you. And that's the great part about it. We have a lot of people out there that may not work in the tech space or don't understand the tech speak, but the fact that it's easy to use, that's music to my ears as far as, working as a technologist and a technology leader with customers that just didn't have the tech savvy, right? So I love things that roll out that are easy to use. So last question, Mike, could you share something from your career experience that would be helpful for those looking to grow their career in tech or entrepreneurship?
Yeah, definitely. I think back to my days in college and, struggling to know what I want to do in life. I think one of the best advice I could give someone getting started in this space is to get as much exposure to as many different fields as you can, especially while you're young, if someone is listening to this, and to network like crazy. Pay for the conference ticket, go, participate in, different community events, go to, tech meetups, do all of that, because the network, that's the best way to get into the tech space, right? Is to meet someone, know someone, develop a relationship. So it's not only who you know, but also spending the time to learn the technologies and be able to have something of value that you can offer to these people. And that will help not only help you network, but also to maybe get an amazing job, like at a company like Seek, right? We're hiring like crazy right now. But you also see what's out there, right? And you get an idea of where you might want to spend, the next 5 to 20 years of your career. So that's probably the best thing, is both developing your core skills and then networking to find what fits best with your lifestyle.
Thank you, Mike, for sharing. And you're absolutely right. Getting out there, at the core of everything is people. And we've talked about it on and on through the series of these podcasts. Is people is everything, whether it's your employees, whether it's the networking aspect of it, as you were mentioning. But at the end of the day, it's the human factor that really wins. So thank you for sharing. And Mike, it was a pleasure having you on today. And I look forward to speaking with you real soon.
Definitely. Thank you, Brian.
Bye for now.